Holy smokes.
Beautiful.
We're holding back.
Round structure. And around.
Oh, this is a big fish.
Oh yeah. 18 or 19 inches.
Let's do this. Fish on. Oh yeah. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of FlyFishDan. And I'm FlyFishDan. Nice to have you here. I thought, you know what? I'm fishing Stillwater. It's kind of slow right now, and I thought here is a great opportunity to talk about a few techniques when fishing Stillwater. Now, there are a ton of things to consider when fishing Stillwater, and we're just going to go over a few of those things and give you some strategies to help you catch more fish. So, let's start talking about it. The first thing you want to do, if possible, is bring a couple of setups. Typically, whenever I go fishing on a lake, I'll have two different rods set up two different ways. Like today, I have a rod set up for indicator fishing, and I've got a couple of flies and an indicator set up. The other rod has a sink tip on it so that I can dig down deep towards the bottom and hopefully get a fish that way. But I like to have a couple of options to go to so I don't have to do a ton of different setup on just one rod. But if you don't have the luxury of having two fly rods and you just have one, then just be prepared to switch out gear and do some experimentation along the way. So the first thing I want to recommend is bring a lot of options, right? I've got fly boxes that have a ton of nymphs. I've got fly boxes that have some San Juan worms and some egg patterns. And I've got fly boxes with a ton of streamers. So you want to have a lot of these fly boxes at the ready and experiment. If you don't see anything obvious happening on the water, you just have to experiment. And I would give it 20 minutes to 30 minutes per setup. And if you don't get any activity at all, then try something new. And if you just experiment like that throughout the day of fishing, your odds of catching a fish goes up considerably. And then when you do find that magic fly that happens to be catching fish, then stick with it. And stick with it, I usually stick with it for about an hour, and if I don't catch another fish within that hour of the setup that I just caught a fish with, then I might consider switching it up and find something else. And again, remember, you experiment when there's nothing obvious happening, either just below the surface, watching fish on how they take flies, whether it's chironomids or topwater. If you don't see any of that happening, then you just want to experiment. So what are some of my go-to flies when I'm fishing Stillwater? This box right here, as you can see, has some egg patterns and a lot of different San Juan worm patterns. These typically really work well in Stillwater, so as you can see, I have a lot of variations here. On the other side, these are a lot of swimming type of nymphs. Most of these are damselfly nymphs, but you find damselfly nymphs a ton when Stillwater fishing. These can be very effective. You can see some of the bigger ones up here. These are more of dragonfly nymphs. So a lot of times you'll see evidence of this happening. If you see the adults flying around, those blue dragonflies or the big dragonflies, in a lot of cases there are probably nymphs swimming around in the Stillwater as well. So this is a go-to fly. Another one that you can't go wrong with are these chironomids. So I always have a chironomid box. You can see here some of the snow cones chironomids can be very effective. And then there are some pre-emerging chironomid patterns here. That's if the chironomids have kind of made it to the surface and are about ready to turn into the bug. These can be very effective as well. So you can see a lot of different sizes and colors. You want to make sure that you have a lot of variations to choose from when you're Stillwater fishing. A lot of times too, I'll bring my big nymph box. You can see I've kind of got some stuff falling out of it. I need to do a little better organization. But sometimes these squallow nymphs do real well below indicators. If there's ever any type of water feature flowing into a lake that you're fishing, these can be very effective as well. So as you can see, I got to do a little cleaning up, but these are typically the boxes that I have. And of course, and finally, I bring the streamer box. You can see there's some woolly buggers in here, different streamers. And if nothing's happening below an indicator, a lot of times I'll put on one of these streamers and just kind of strip it in different depths, whether I have a sink tip or on floating lines. So those are kind of my top boxes that I bring along with me when I'm fishing any Stillwater lake. So if you have these flies, typically you're going to find something that works and catch fish. So let's catch one now. Dang it. Fish on! Oh, sorry about that, I didn't get the take. I was actually motoring over to find another spot, and he grabbed it, and I was kind of kicking kind of quickly. Feels heavy. Oh yeah! Wow, look at the spots on this guy. Holy smokes! Look at that fish. Sometimes you have to consider how heavy your tippet is as well. If you're using 3X tippet and you're just not getting any bites on anything, you might have to, especially if you're fishing specialized waters that have had quite a bit of pressure like this, you might have to level down to either a 4X or even a 5X to be able to keep that fish from being scared of the leader. So there are some things you need to consider. A lot of times I'll fish with my indicator far up, which means closer to the flies, so the flies are maybe only a few feet below the surface. And sometimes I go really deep, 10 to 12 feet of line below my indicator, and sometimes you have to add on a tippet to lengthen the leader. So the important part and the moral of this particular story is you want to experiment. If you got the same setup on, it's been 30 minutes and you haven't got a sniff, then try something new. Bring a lot of options that you can change to, because you just never know. You may find that secret combination that works and the fish want to eat. So don't be afraid to tie on something different every 20 to 30 minutes, and hopefully you'll get a fish. And remember, you're not always going to catch fish. I know in a lot of my videos it looks like every time I go out I catch fish. I don't. But I don't get skunked often, but I do get skunked. Everyone does. So don't feel bad if you get skunked. You can come out and throw a lot of the same setup as you did prior and then start catching fish. It just really all depends. So many different factors to consider. But when you are fishing these stillwater fisheries, bring a lot of options with you to make sure that you can change up and hopefully find the right combination that'll catch a fish. So I hope you find that helpful, and I'm going to start doing the same. I have had this set up on now for about 30 minutes, and it's time to change up. See if I can find something different that the fish might be interested in. All right, everybody. Well, I appreciate you tuning in on this episode of FlyFishDan. Hey, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Leave me a comment of anything else that you would think I should consider when fishing these still waters. And feel free to subscribe if you haven't. Doing a lot of these videos and tutorials and just help you become a better fly fisher person. All right, well, I appreciate you tuning in, and fish on, everybody. Till the next time.